for United, WFC.
Good afternoon and welcome to the weekly wrap-up this week with me, Gareth Townsend, and I've got a very special guest this week for a slightly different show. Obviously, no WSL action this weekend to go into, so I'm joined by Marissa, who is an Arsenal fan, to have a chat this week about their start to the season. Marissa, how are you?
Hello, I'm good, thanks, Gareth. How are you?
Yeah, not bad, thank you. So we'll jump straight into it then. At the start of the season, for me, I expected Arsenal to kind of comfortably be third. I expected it to be kind of City and Chelsea going for the top spot, but that's not been the case at all. I think Arsenal in that first game against Chelsea laid down a marker, got the win, and haven't looked back since then. So what have you made to the quick, unbeaten start to the domestic campaign?
Yeah, I was at that first game at the Emirates against Chelsea. It was just brilliant, the energy, the atmosphere. They were just at it. And I think the issue with Arsenal has been beating Man City and Chelsea. They haven't done that since they won the league a few seasons ago. So those are the two matches, because they'll beat Brighton, they'll beat, the other sort of lower ranked teams, West Ham, whatnot. But then Man City and Chelsea is your bread and butter to win the league. So the fact they've already beat both of them this season, I mean, Man City 5-0, that was quite something. But to beat those two teams already early on gives you that platform. So hopefully we can beat them again in our next matches against them, and that would be the league wrapped up, really.
Yeah, I was going to ask if there are any standout performances kind of so far. For me, they're the two that I've got written down. Chelsea, that first game of the season, and obviously we can have conversations about the refereeing and whether Mead's goal should have stood. But regardless, I think that the back three then didn't really work for Chelsea, and Arsenal were the stronger side, and you deserved to win that game. So the refereeing performance, really, in terms of who deserved to win the game, for me was kind of irrelevant. And City, we know they've had issues this season. We know they've kind of got barely any players fit. They've got one goalkeeper for their game in the FA Cup this weekend, just gone. And obviously a lot of first-team players are out as well. But you can only go and beat what's in front of you. We played them and had similar injury problems, and we came away with a draw after Stanway got sent off. So, you can only go out and play what's in front of you. And for me, those two games were the kind of ones that really stood out as well. Barcelona being the other one, but we'll touch on that sort of slightly later when we get on to the Champions League. Do you think the start can be maintained? Can you maintain this? Obviously, you've played 5 games, won 5 games. Can that carry on?
I would hope so, but I think there's got to be a bump in the road. When Chelsea won the league, I think they lost 2-0 to Brighton, and everyone was, oh my gosh, where's that come from? So I think Arsenal could have 1 or 2 of those results in there, maybe after a Champions League week and just a bit tired or something like that. I think there's the chance that I wouldn't think we'll go unbeaten. I'd say we'll lose at least one match somewhere. But hopefully, just got to hope, obviously, Chelsea and Man City lose the same weekend or something like that. But yeah, I think there's definitely going to be bumps along the road. So far, it's just been smooth sailing, can't ask for much better. But there will be a slip up here or there, I would imagine.
Yeah, I was at the Aston Villa game, and kind of watching that for me was really interesting, because in the first half, Villa defended really well. They were really difficult to break down. And you kind of thought, they've come here to kind of almost play for this 0-0 and try and snatch a goal or so. And it was interesting just to see Arsenal just be patient and just play the game and not worry too much about trying to change anything. And, in the end, the breakthrough came, and I think Kim Little had an absolutely fantastic week that week. I mean, she has had a great season all season so far. But, and then kind of once that first goal went in, went and scored another 3 and won 4-0. And I don't think that scoreline sort of flattered Arsenal at all. I think for me this year, they've been probably my favourite side to watch that's not United, just from being kind of a neutral in a sense.
Yeah.
It's interesting that you still mention Man City. Do you think then that Man City are still in contention for a title this season, or do you think that ship has sailed for them?
Nah, I think that ship has sailed. I think it's us and Chelsea, because even when they get them players back, they've still got all those points to make up. So they've got to be hoping Arsenal and Chelsea drop those points. I just don't, something just doesn't seem right with them. They haven't clicked. It's not quite there. And I just think that third will be the best they could hope for, I think. And even then, obviously with United as well, they're still challenged for that. It's not guaranteed that they would get third in Champions League, but their team isn't really at it. Georgia Stanway, I mean, to be honest, I was quite happy she got sent off for that challenge, because I think she makes them challenges pretty much every week and doesn't even get a yellow card. It's like, oh, women's football, we can't send, the players off or something. That was an awful tackle. So I thought that was very much justified. People said, oh, she was playing out of position. But I think even when she's in midfield, them sort of tackles always happen. So I think, you've got suspensions, you've got injuries. Doesn't really seem like Gareth Taylor knows the best team. They just don't quite seem to be linking up right. So I think they'll be in the battle for third, I would say.
Yeah, I would agree as well. I'm hoping, obviously, that we can come out on top in that battle and that we can experience Champions League football next season. But, I think we have to look at them as well. They have when their injuries are back and when they're fully fit, if Gareth Taylor can get them clicking again, because he did last season. I think it's only this season where it's not gone well for him.
Yeah.
We'll kind of have two good battles between the Arsenal and Chelsea for the title, and then two Manchester clubs for third, and that kind of those kind of battles can only be good for the league. And from where I'm sat, I would rather Arsenal win the league than Chelsea, purely because Chelsea won it last season, and it'd be nice to see something different. And I'm a big fan of Leah Williamson, so.
Aren't we all?
But mainly for that. Well, yeah. So we'll move on and we'll kind of go through the transfers. Obviously, Sorensen picked up that injury against Chelsea, so we've not been able to see too much of her. But I'll just remind our viewers of the transfers that came in. Obviously, Tobin Heath was a later one. Nikita Paris from Lyon, Mana Iwabuchi from Aston Villa, and Frida Marnham as well has come in. For you, who's been the standout addition to the squad? Who's had the biggest impact?
Iwabuchi. I think she just seems, I imagine, to be an Arsenal player. She's got these quick feet, these clever touches. She's just, 1-2s, them team goals. You think she just fits right in there with her quality. And I think, it seems small, but small, good, low center of gravity. She's just, when she was playing Aston Villa last season, I thought, surely she's not staying there. Sort of like, for a first introduction to the Women's Super League is probably a good grounding for her. But now you see her at Arsenal and she's just absolutely shining, linking up with Miedemar, Little, our front players. And I think she's been really, really good. But Marnham, she scored a good goal. I think it was against Everton. She's, we need good midfielders as well. So I think solid. So I'm happy with those two as the main two so far. Obviously, Tobin Heath, I think, will grow and get match fit and sort of grow into the team as the season goes on.
Yeah, I would agree. I think we had a show on a Tuesday night. I think it was a couple of weeks ago, and we were kind of talking about Arsenal, and I kind of said that I think for me the standout player. A lot of kind of United fans focused on Tobin Heath going over there, obviously because she was with us last season.
Yeah.
But again, I agree. I think Iwabuchi has been exactly kind of what Arsenal needed. Like you say, that low center of gravity, that quick feet, that passing ability, and she always seems to kind of know what she's doing next. She never seems to kind of take any time to kind of stop and have to think and assess. She kind of gets the ball and knows exactly what she wants to do with it. So, I think she's been great to watch, and disappointed that she signed for you, but that was always going to be, I think that was always going to be the move that she made for months before it was announced. I think we all kind of expected that to happen. Yeah. Again, I think Marnham has been good. I think, it's difficult when you sign another midfielder like Iwabuchi to be able to kind of really shine in the squad. But I think she's played well. Tobin, like you say, I think she's growing into it. She's come in kind of not being particularly match fit, hasn't played a huge amount of football.
Yeah.
Obviously got injured back end of last season playing for United, and then only really had internationals or whatever over the summer. And Paris as well, I think, has been overshadowed probably by sort of some of the other forwards that were already there, stepping up and improving, which we'll touch on later on. But I think she'll still come good. She's got the goals in the Champions League, not scored in the WSL yet, but yeah, I think it will come. She's got 49 goals in the league so far. She's just waiting for that 50th. I think once she gets that first goal in the league, more will come. Do you think then that the transfers have improved your squad from last season? Because for me, the one thing from that Villa game that I noticed was that I think you took Viv and maybe Mead off and replaced them with. Oh no, it was took Viv and Paris off and replaced them with Tobin and Mead. And I just thought, last season potentially depth was the issue, whereas now, you're taking off one of the best forwards in the world and putting on another sort of world class forward as well. Do you think that then those signings have been kind of exactly what you needed to take that step from being that third place team to being potentially title favourites?
Yeah, definitely. Squad depth. When you look at Chelsea, they take one off, replace another one. You don't see any difference. They're just the same level of quality. And whatever team is playing them, think, oh, great, Harder's going off. Oh, gosh, England's coming on. You think, you can't catch a break, which I think before with Arsenal, they'd have like a young academy player or something coming on. You say, okay, well, immediately the quality drops, which is no fault of their own, but it's just they're not at the same level. Whereas now, as you said, it's take off like Miedemar, bring on Mead, that sort of quality to have consistently throughout the team and the subs definitely will make the difference as the season goes on. And then you don't have to rely completely on the first 11. You've got quality subs that can come on and still have just as much as an impact as the ones that have gone off before them. So I think that definitely makes a difference and hopefully will increase our chances of winning the title compared to previous seasons.
Yeah, like I said, at that Villa game, it kind of really was the standout that, hang on, this isn't the Arsenal of sort of last season before, where the squad was really thin and you felt like that everything hinged on Viv. You felt like if she clicked and if she performed, then Arsenal would do well. But if she had an off day, then Arsenal were there for the taking. But I feel this season there's so many other quality forwards, and we're not even talking about the defence, which has conceded 2 goals all season in the league. It's scary. I'm not looking forward to the WSL game where we play you, because I just look at it and I think, well, I can't see us keeping a clean sheet, and then your defence is so good that we're going to need to probably score at least 2 to be able to win the game. So it's definitely going to be a good game, and it's one I'm looking forward to. But it's going to be a tricky one. So transfers out last season, Jill Rudd left, Leonie Meyer, Ruby Mace has gone to City, and Van der Donk has gone as well.
Yeah.
Have they been replaced then with those incomings? Have they been replaced properly, or are there any of those outgoings that you think actually would probably still miss them a little bit?
I mean, I was gutted to see Van der Donk go. Really, it's just that little terrier running around in midfield, getting goals and assists, but also more than happy to put in a tackle. There's certainly a few she could have been sent off for as well. So I just think her energy is missed a bit. But then if you would say like probably Iwabushi would be her replacement, she's still got the same level of skill and trickery and goals and assists in her. So I suppose from a personal level, I would say miss her in the team. But really, I think Iwabushi has done the job to replace her. Ruby May is such a great talent. It was a shame to see her go as well, especially to a big rival like Man City. But she doesn't seem to be playing that much at Man City, which is a shame, because as Arsenal fans, we know the quality she's got. It would be great to see her more regularly. So I guess you say Paris was her replacement, which Paris hasn't really warmed up yet, but there's, plenty of the season left to go. Tobin Heath, I think, was just a great signing. Hope she can get into the team more. But it seems, Beth Mead was talking about Tobin told me to do, some advice Tobin gave her. She followed that through in the second half. And, Tobin said, look, that's exactly what you can do. And Mead is saying, just having that world-class player there to give you guidance and advice is always going to improve the team. So I think on the whole, Rod, she started the season really well last season. I think she scored 2 hat-tricks in 2 games. And again, it was a bit of a surprise to see her leave. I thought she was doing really well. And just another one of them attacking players we've got that just a free-flowing attack, can pop up, score a few goals. So, but I do think the team that we've got now is good. And it's sort of one in, one out. It don't feel like we've missed anyone as such so far. But potentially as the season goes on, if we lose a few games, you might say, well, that player would have made a difference. But on the whole, it seems we've got adequate replacements for those that have left. So hopefully they can just keep on.
Yeah, I would agree as well. I think, Ruby Mace going to City not playing is potentially a bit disappointing, especially given their sort of injury record. And you think, if she can't get in this team now, then when is she ever going to play?
Exactly.
So potentially wouldn't be surprised to see her maybe go out on loan in January, which would be good for her to kind of get some game time. But yeah, I think as well, the players that are already there have seemed to step up as well. I think Tobin, like you say, we saw it at United where players like Hansen and Leah Galton kind of really upped their game as well. And obviously there was competition for places, and I think that helps. But just having that experienced player, a World Cup winner in the squad who can come in and give that little bit of advice, just that little bit of tactical. Doesn't have to be a lot because obviously she's not managing a team, but just that kind of little word in the ear, maybe try this or do this. And we just see players tend to lift it. So based on that, who then for you this season has been the surprise? Who was it can be a player coming in that you've kind of had a bigger impact than you expected, or it could be kind of a player that's already there that has kind of lifted their game from last season.
I would say Beth Mead, because last season she wasn't that great. I think she only got 4 goals. She's already on 3 goals this season. And the way Arsenal are playing, you would expect her to get at least 10 this season. She was left out of Hegerissa's first England squad because Hegerissa said the player report wasn't that good. So she obviously hadn't been doing it for club, and so there was no need for her to be in my squad for England if she's not doing it week in, week out Arsenal. She wasn't playing that much. She was being rotated because the quality level wasn't there. But this season she seems to be on it, whether it's, not being in Hegerissa's first England squad, then not being at the Olympics. Maybe that's the added motivation, but she seems to be really ready to go, to already scored twice against Chelsea. She got an assist in the Man City game, scored another goal as well. So she's really up for it, and we need as many players as we can scoring week in, week out if we're trying to win the league. And she's definitely one of those that is taking on the extra responsibility. As you said, maybe competition for places that wasn't there as much last season. And she seems like she's ready to lead the team to victory pretty much every game she plays. So it's good to have her there and back to her best. That the season we won the league, she was brilliant, so every player has their ups and downs, and she seems to be back on the up. So happy with her. Kim Little as well. I mean, Kim Little's always brilliant, but you always hear people say when players retire from their country, just even more, it's more beneficial for the club. Captain doesn't really, not one of the most talkative ones, but she does her talking on the pitch, which I'm more than happy with that. Scoring important penalties when needed. I think it might have been against Man City. There was one penalty we had, not the team made substitutions beforehand, so she's got to wait. And, there's just that composure she has. So, all right, it's fine. I'm still going to do what I was going to do beforehand. Puts the ball in the back of the net. Everyone's happy. So I think Kim Little just seems to be even more influential than last season, perhaps. So Kim Little and Beth Mead, I would say, are my 2 that have really just been solid. And as you say, even though we've got good players coming in, it's even better to have the ones we've got there improving. So I'm happy with those 2 in particular. Leah Williamson, special shout out for her because I think she's great. Now England captain on a temporary basis, not officially, but she's doing really well. You know, she's just so calm, such a great leader. Long balls over to the forwards. There's just, for someone so young, you know, she just seems like she's been doing this for decades, and it's Arsenal through and through. She loves the club. The club loves her. So hopefully, you know, it's because she's only signed a 1-year extension, which I think was kind of in mid-season. People didn't really know what was going on with the players going in, the manager leaving, who was going to be the new manager and that sort of thing. So I think she just signed a 1-year deal to kind of see how things were and then maybe extend further, which hopefully she will do, because she's just as important as any of the forwards in our team.
Yeah, I mean, I absolutely agree with the comments on Mead. I think over the summer she was linked with a move away. I think there were voices saying that she should sign for United, and I'll be honest, there was like, based on last season, I don't think that she's going to be the player to come in and make us any better. Like, based on last season, Hansen had a great year and Mead didn't. So I was like, well, why would we do this? And now I'm very much been eating my words, and you know, I've already said that I was absolutely wrong on that one, because she's had a fantastic year, and obviously for England, coming off the bench against Northern Ireland, scoring that hat-trick and obviously winning us the game there. Didn't steal a goal either from Lauren Hemp like Beth England did. But yeah, I think she's been great. I think she's been the player really that you look at last season, you look at this season, you think it's almost like it's a completely different. People say, oh, it's like a new signing having so-and-so back. Like we said, that having Russo back would be like a new signing for United. But you know, having this Beth Mead back is like a new signing for Arsenal compared to last year. I think Katie McCabe has played really well as well. She's chipped in with 3 goals. That goal against Aston Villa from miles out was brilliant. I kind of just looked up and I was like, she's not shooting from there, surely. And she did, and it went in. I think Leah Williamson's reaction to that was more or less all the Arsenal fans that were at Villa Park. So, yeah, I think for me, those two are the kind of ones where they were kind of on the periphery of where I was expecting them to be, but they're the ones that kind of really made themselves important. I expected Kim Little to be important in midfield, expected Williamson, who I've wanted as England captain for a couple of years now, to be important at the back. So I'm not necessarily surprised by those. Obviously, they've been important. But yeah, for me, Mead and McCabe are the two really that are playing better than I probably would have expected.
Yeah.
So obviously, the main difference with Arsenal this season is the head coach. So obviously, you had Joe Montemurro last year, and Jonas has come in this year from Rosenborg. What for you are the main differences between the two? Like I said before we started recording, I didn't watch a huge amount of Arsenal last season. It's kind of generally watched United and Leicester when I could, when they're in the Championship. So what are the main differences between the two?
I think there seems to be more energy in the team, that sort of winning the ball back as soon as possible, getting in the face of the opposition, pressing as high up the pitch as you can. There's just more, we're at it. Come on, let's have it. You know, that I think under Joe, I think it was definitely his time to go. It just started to feel a bit flat. You know, likes to work with a small squad, that sort of thing. Arsenal have a lot of injuries, you know, to key players. And now when you look at the squad and you say, okay, we've got replacements, hopefully no one gets injured. But, you know, it happens. If it did happen, you would think, well, there's a quality replacement to come in. I think under Joe, like, kept losing to Man City and Chelsea. Since we won the league, we haven't beaten them. That was always an issue. That's the sort of performances that cost you the league. And it just seemed a bit sluggish, sort of like he'd run out of ideas for the team, I thought. And it wasn't all that entertaining. It was kind of like, yeah, we're winning where we had to win and getting the job done. But I feel under Jonas Eidevall now, seems to be a lot of energy, a lot more passion, a lot more, everyone's like a clean slate, fresh slate. Everyone's, you know, fighting for their positions. There's no guarantees because it was all these quality players. So you have to fight for your place and know, you know, if you're not on it, you'll be replaced. And I think that just makes the team focus more you look at the performances so far, and it's just been brilliant. Really, you can't ask for much more. For 5 games, 4 clean sheets. That sort of defensive solidity is just as important as having all those attacking players. You want the defense to be happy and say, okay, we kept another clean sheet today. The whole team is in harmony, which I think, like for example, Van der Donk was left out a lot last season, which I think probably prompted her move to Lyon. So if we're not playing, then why bother, kind of thing. And I think there were times that she could have been played and wasn't. So I think Joe just sort of was reaching the end of his time, whereas Jonas, even I was at the Emirates for the game against Chelsea, and he's on his knees, he's fist pumping, he's he just seems he's on it. He's really enthusiastic, and I like that. And it seems a lot more the Arsenal way of the clever passing, the quick interchanges, that sort of thing is back and more lively, which I think started to be missing under Joe Montemurro towards the end of his time.
Yeah, I think as well, possibly last season, there were times where Arsenal would try and maybe overplay it, play that one extra pass looking for the perfect opportunity to score. Whereas I think this season, obviously you want to try and keep possession and play kind of the Arsenal way, and that is by kind of keeping the ball and moving the ball and looking to create the openings that way. But if you need to play that long ball forward, you play that long ball forward. If there's an opportunity to shoot from range, then you'll shoot from range. I don't think, I think Marnham scored a great goal a couple of weeks ago. And that McCabe goal that we mentioned against Villa, I don't think they would necessarily have happened last season, because they would have looked maybe to overplay it and find that other pass. So I think that, and like you say, Jonas kicks every single ball with the players. At Villa Park, I don't think he ever sat down. It was always in his technical area. I feel that his energy then is kind of put onto the players as well. And there's just this, like you say, there's a kind of refreshed energy around. I think I found the main difference to be how they managed the squad. Like you say, that Joe wanted to play with a small squad, a squad that he knew well, kind of like 18 players or something, literally just his first 11 and his bench. Whereas there seems to be just a lot more depth with Jonas. Like, you could start with a centre-back pairing of Wobbenmoy and Beattie, or you could go with Williamson and Beattie, or any of those. There's versatility there. The midfield, again, like you say, we don't really know who's going to play. And, Iwabuchi started some games, came off the bench in others, and likewise with kind of the majority of that front line. So I think just being able to have a squad where you can drop players in and bring them out, and if players aren't playing well, then, you can replace them, and you can replace them like for like with quality as well. You're not going to make the side suffer by sort of dropping a player. Like if Paris isn't performing well, you can drop Paris and play Mead, and the squad's not going to be worse off for it. Whereas last season, there wasn't really that same level of depth in attack. And like I say, it felt as though everything hinged on Miedemar. And if she played well and she scored goals, then Arsenal would win. But if she had an off weekend, which didn't happen hugely often, but then there would be kind of points dropped there. So do you think, so we've kind of spoken about the squad depth. Are they tactically very different, or are they kind of similar but with just maybe that extra level of energy and output from that? Is that the main difference between the two, or is there a tactical difference that you've noticed?
I would say similar, but just more energy, more oomph, like you were saying about the shots that they're taking that they might not have taken last season because there was overplaying. I think there's just more belief we can do it, where last season they were a bit more reserved. So, I mean, McCabe is still pretty much just as good as she was last season, but she's there in defence, but, a midfielder, sometimes a forward. There's that flexibility, I think, within the team that Jonas trusts them to, okay, I've given you the game plan here, but, if the situation dictates, you want to change it a little bit. McCabe is up there taking free kicks, taking corners, and being very influential. So I think maybe last season it would have been a bit more reserved. There's times when Katie McCabe was further back, being more defensive. Now she's up on the attack, just being as influential as one of the forward players. So I would say it's just feels almost like a weight's been lifted off their shoulders. Maybe that happens, with a new manager. You're just new manager bounce, but obviously our one seems to be lasting quite a while, so it shows not just a flash in the pan, that we are improving a lot, and I would hope to see that continue, throughout the season. Like I say, I'm sure there'll be bumps in the road, but on the whole, I think there's just a lot more energy and determination about this team and quality that will keep them going. And like you said, Viv was central to everything last season, really. And that means, she can't have a break. What if she misses a game, then who's going to come and replace her? It's a big talking point. It's a big deal. But like she could be rested for a match this season and you wouldn't really blink an eye because, you've got quality coming in that's going to replace her, or else she might, come off the bench in 60 minutes and still have a good half an hour. That is one massive thing I would say, that Viv is not the go-to. There's a lot of other quality players around her that can still be just as influential as she is, and she can not have to have all the burden on her for a change. So that is a big bonus this season.
Yeah, I mean, I echo kind of everything that you said. And the expectation is different then. This year, kind of among, not only kind of among the coaching staff, like, do you feel like Jonas has different expectations of the players that Joe did, but also now with this start, have the expectations of the fans changed? Like, did you at the start of the season think, okay, this is it, we're gonna push for the title this year, or was the expectation in August that you wanted to kind of fight for the title rather than kind of be outright favourites? So how have those expectations changed kind of from the bench, but also from the stands as well?
I would say I was resigned to third in August. The manager search took a long time. I was getting concerned about that. We didn't seem to be bringing in any players for a while. I was thinking, what's going on here? We need a refresh. Where's the new manager? And then I think we signed Iwabuchi and maybe Marnham before Jonas came in. And I sort of thought, well, are they his, at this time I didn't know who the manager was going to be. I thought, well, what if this manager doesn't like these players? We need a manager in so that the visions are aligned. So I was resigned to third, because just you look at Chelsea, the quality they've got and whatnot, it's going to be pretty hard to displace them. And Man City, again, is another one I'm thinking they've got great quality and things. Now, having beaten Chelsea and Man City, obviously a lot more optimistic. And now I think we can win the league. But that is definitely perspective that's changed since August. So I thought third. Now I think we're going to win the league. But I do think that obviously Man City, with their huge amount of injuries, that's brought us up a place. I would say I would be disappointed if we finish second, but that's the least I would expect now, because I think Man City are too far behind. So I would say the title is between Arsenal and Chelsea. I would assume that Jonas would have thought we can come in and win the league. That should be the ambition as a new manager coming in. You see the quality of players we've got. You think, well, why not? We can be just as good as any other team in the league. So I would imagine from a coaching perspective, just improve on what was done before, which where we finished third last season. So it would have been second or first. And now you look at the team, you think, well, yeah, why not? Why not win the league? They beat Chelsea, they beat Man City. Like I say, like to do the double over both of them and then feel even more confident that, yeah, definitely can do it. But, we could lose to West Ham and it'd be a shock result. So there is still, you could lose to Man United, any team we could lose to. But going on what we've seen so far, I would expect Arsenal to win the league. But there could be a shock loss in there or not. But I think they've got the quality, the rotation, the squad depth has definitely made a huge difference. I wasn't confident before those signings came in, because I just thought, well, who are we going to rely on if Viv's not having a good game, if Mead's not having a good game? At this stage, Mead wasn't playing that well anyway. So you're thinking, okay, well, Mead's not playing that great. We need someone to come in, to be as good as her. Heath has come in. She's still warming up. We're saying how well Arsenal play so far. Paris and Heath, I still think, are nowhere near the quality we know they can be. So waiting for them to get even better while the rest of the squad is doing their thing, I think is really good. So hopefully another league title.
Yeah, I mean, your comments there about the signings coming in before the manager search was completed is definitely something that we can relate to. You know, we brought in, I think, the majority of our players before we'd confirmed Skinner, and we were kind of thinking, well, we knew that all of these signings were sort of Casey Stoney's signings. I'm thinking, well, what if Mark Skinner doesn't want to play these players? And obviously, we've not seen Marissa play particularly much in midfield. He seems to, Staniforth is playing a lot more than she did last year. Last year, she kind of played from the bench, whereas this year she seems to be starting a lot more. Obviously, Mark's worked with her before at Birmingham. And it's been quite interesting kind of to see those similarities. Obviously, then Jonas came in and added more players, whereas I don't think Skinner kind of added anybody particularly. We're kind of hoping he would, but didn't. And again, with the expectations changing, I kind of thought at the start of the season, right, okay, let's get fourth again and let's see kind of where we go from here. But now with City's issues, I think I'm hoping that we can challenge for third. It's a kind of another show that I want to do at some point is get a Man City fan on and let's sort of discuss who's going to get third. So I think it's going to be close. I was hoping that we'd edge them in the league game where we went 2-1 up and felt like we probably should have won that, and that would have given us the advantage. But I think it's going to be pretty close between us, and we just need to find that consistency in order to do that. So do you think then that you're now favourites for the title? If we look, we've mentioned obviously last season relying on Viv. This year the goals seem to be shared around a lot more. Miedemar and Little have got 4 each, and then Mead and McCabe have got 3 each. So already kind of spreading those goals around, not relying on one particular person. You've already beaten Chelsea, so you're ahead of them. Are you favourites now, or are Chelsea still favourites?
Going to sound like a manager here, but don't want to put Arsenal as favourites. Looking at the league table, you would say, there's no getting away from that. But I still think Chelsea is, they might be even better snapping at the heels of somebody than being first themselves. So I still think it's close between Arsenal and Chelsea. I would say Chelsea just, even though there's, they're behind Arsenal, but the quality that they have, if Arsenal slip up one week, you can bet Chelsea will take advantage. So I think Chelsea just about, and being the defending champions, wanting to retain their title, I'll say Chelsea, but Arsenal a close second.
Okay, I'll let you off. I think Arsenal now are our favourites. Obviously, Chelsea came to us and absolutely battered us, but I don't really want to talk about that. But I don't know. There's just something about having seen Arsenal and having seen Chelsea that I just feel that when Chelsea got their goals against us, the majority of them were because of individual errors. Whereas when I've seen Arsenal play, the goals don't seem to come from the opposition making mistakes. They generally come from just Arsenal playing really well and creating opportunities for themselves. And obviously I'll kind of get a better idea once I see them at LSV and I can compare like for like opposition. But I don't know. I think it's probably going to be one of the more interesting title races that we've had for a long time. I'm looking forward to seeing it. I don't think that we're in contention for the title. I haven't said that at all. I think some people wanted us to kind of fight for it, but I've never kind of put us in that position yet where we can challenge Arsenal, Chelsea, City for the championship. I think those 3 clubs fully fit are a level above. So it's nice to kind of be able to watch the fight unfold from a different perspective. So we'll finish up then with kind of looking at your other ambitions for this season. So still at the time recording, all of the cup competitions. Obviously, you're going to join the Conti Cup in the knockout stages. This season's FA Cup hasn't started yet. When this goes out, you could have an FA Cup final or you may have lost in the semi-finals. We won't touch on that. We'll just see what happens. And in the Champions League as well. So first of all, domestically, do you value the Conti Cup as a competition, or would you rather kind of like rest players in that and focus on the league, or how do you approach that? And obviously the FA Cup as well is a competition that Arsenal as a club seems to be pretty well known for. So, what are your ambitions with those two tournaments, the Conti Cup and the FA Cup? And we'll touch on the Champions League afterwards.
I think just want to win everything. I think why not go out there, put a big marker down, and give it your all. We've got the squad depth now. You can leave Viv out and still have a quality team. So I would hope that we would just go and put our best foot forward in both those competitions. Like I say, it doesn't have to be Miedemar playing, but you have Iwabuchi, you have Paris, you have Mead, Little, Heath. We could go on, which we couldn't say last season. So I think you want to win as much as possible. That will give you more confidence in the league. I definitely think having the Champions League qualifiers, we had the feeling of winning before the season had started, before the WSL season started. And I think that was quite beneficial. So I'd just like us to go out and try and win every game possible and be in all the competitions, because you want to win, you want to play. And then also the more competition you're in, you can rotate the team a bit more. Everyone gets played, feel like a proper squad. So, yeah, I would say go and try and win them all.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree. I want. We've not reached the final of the competition yet. We've reached semi-finals, we've reached quarterfinals, but we've never kind of gone that one step further and got to the final. So, hopefully you have last season's FA Cup, because we're not in that. But if we can meet in a final, that'd be fine. But hopefully we'll come out on top, because I've kind of been a while since. Well, we've not reached a proper final. We won the championship, but. That we were expected to win that year.
Yeah.
So we'll finish up then on the Champions League. Obviously, suffered a heavy defeat in Barcelona, but then bounced back with a good win against Hoffenheim. Obviously, being in a group with Barcelona is difficult. They are the reigning champions of Europe. Probably, on paper, are the best side in the continent, in the competition. Can you challenge Barcelona then for the Champions League? Obviously, they've got to come over to London to play, at Arsenal. I assume that'll be at Meadow Park. But, you've got to play them again in the competition to start with. But how far in that competition do you think you can go realistically? Can you go and go all the way, or where do you think your limit is?
That game against Barcelona is going to be at the Emirates, actually, on the 9th of December. So it's going to be a huge match. I'm not confident about beating Barcelona, definitely not, because I hadn't really watched them that much. I hadn't watched them at all last season before they played Chelsea in the Champions League final. And I thought, we're seeing how Chelsea have played. It's going to be a great game. I backed Chelsea to win. And then Barcelona absolutely tore them to shreds within half an hour. And it was, completely game over. They didn't have to score anything in the second half, because they'd done it all in the first half an hour. So I can't see us beating Barcelona, I've got to say. But I'd take second in the group and going through, that would be fine. And I don't think we can challenge them for the Champions League. They're like in another stratosphere, really. The passing, that's what you expect of Barcelona men in sort of like Pep Guardiola's era. They're just brilliant. So I'd find it very hard to beat Barcelona. I'd think these two games you say would be good practice for if we met them again in the competition, but I still think we'd come up short. Where you see the team in their own league and say, okay, well, you're doing great, but then you play some teams in Europe and it's a different ball game. Chelsea beat Wolfsburg last season, but they were two very tough games. So I just think Barcelona have got the edge. They're much better than Arsenal in the players, the quality. It's just a different level to the Women's Super League. To watch them play, I was just in awe of them. I'm thinking, my gosh, we don't stand a chance. It was tough to watch when you see Arsenal doing that to teams in the Women's Super League every week, and then getting done to them and more. It was tough to watch, but I can't see us beating Barcelona when they come to London either. But second will still take us through, so that'll be good enough. I think maybe quarterfinals. I think, so depending if we come up against Lyon, they're wounded animal after they were winning it all the time, and then Barcelona come and win it. So PSG as well is a really good side. Wolfsburg. So there's a lot of good quality sides in Europe that I think would put Arsenal to the sword. But at this moment, I think quarterfinals, I'd say, would be would take that and hopefully build on it again in following seasons.
That's the thing, isn't it? I think Barcelona are a little bit further on in their kind of project and their kind of curve of they are at their peak now, whereas I think you look at this Arsenal side and think, in a year or two they're going to be better than they are now, and maybe then will be the opportunity for the Champions League. But no, I agree. I think Barcelona are pretty comfortably the best side in Europe at the moment, and we saw that in just how handily they beat Chelsea in the final last year, and how dominant they are domestically as well. So yeah, on for let's go for domestic treble, but the Champions League not quite there yet.
Yeah, I would say so.
Okay, so we'll wrap it up there. Thank you so much for joining me. It's been really interesting to kind of hear an Arsenal fan's perspective over kind of everything that's happened over the last sort of 4 months or so, especially compared to last year. And once again, I'm kind of eating my words regarding Beth Mead, and I love being proven wrong by players, especially when they're wearing an England shirt. So hopefully she kind of doesn't play too well when we meet, but it's good to see players sort of performing well. And thank you so much for joining me. Obviously,
no problem.
Matt and I will be back this evening for the WFC show. We're going to have a look ahead to the Spurs game at the weekend. And obviously, remember, Nat has a fantastic guest on her show tomorrow evening. So, like we said on Saturday night, if you check out one show this week, now you've seen this one, go and watch Nat's show tomorrow, because it's bound to be a cracker. Marissa, thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see everybody else next week.